The people of Salem are no strangers to drama, but August 14, 2024, would prove to be a day they would never forget, a day marked by horrific accidents, devastating betrayals, and the haunting reality that no one is truly safe. The day began on a high note for Xander, who was almost glowing with happiness as he strolled through Salem's town square. Newly married to the love of his life, Sarah Horton, Xander was basking in the afterglow of newlywed bliss. When he bumped into Leo, the joy was undeniable. As Leo and Xander exchanged pleasantries, Leo's phone rang with an intriguing call, a call that piqued his curiosity but also raised suspicion. However, the mystery of the call would soon be overshadowed by much more pressing matters. The town of Salem was about to be shaken by a terrifying event. Meanwhile, Brady Black found himself in a precarious situation. After a night of heavy drinking, Brady was in no condition to drive. Unfortunately, Fiona had taken it upon herself to drive him home. But what started as a gesture of goodwill quickly turned into a nightmare. As Fiona sped through the darkened streets of Salem, her attention was no longer on the road. Brady, slumped in the passenger seat, was too intoxicated to notice the impending danger. Suddenly, the car's headlights illuminated a figure on the road. It was Sarah Horton, oblivious to the danger as she crossed the street. In an instant, Fiona's car struck Sarah, sending her body flying onto the cold pavement. The sound of the impact was deafening, and the sight was horrifying. Sarah lay motionless, bleeding and unconscious, while Fiona and Brady were jolted back to reality. Panic set in, but Fiona's next move would leave everyone stunned. Instead of facing the consequences of her actions, Fiona made a shocking decision. She convinced a disoriented Brady to flee the scene with her, leaving Sarah alone in the darkness, clinging to life. The decision to run would haunt them both, but in that moment, fear overwhelmed any sense of morality. Fiona knew that staying could lead to unimaginable consequences, and she was determined to avoid them at all costs. As Fiona and Brady disappeared into the night, fate intervened in the form of Xander Cook. Returning from his encounter with Leo, Xander happened upon the scene of the accident. His heart stopped when he recognized the figure lying motionless on the ground. It was his wife, Sarah. Without hesitation, Xander rushed to her side, desperately calling for help. The sight of Sarah's injured body filled him with a fear he had never known. He prayed for a miracle as the ambulance arrived, but deep down, he feared the worst. At the hospital, the atmosphere was tense as Sarah was rushed into emergency surgery. Her injuries were severe, and her life hung by a thread. Xander, drowning in guilt and fear, was comforted by his mother, who held him tightly, unaware that she was hiding a dark secret. Fiona, Xander's biological mother, was the one responsible for the accident that had left Sarah fighting for her life. As Xander anxiously awaited news of Sarah's condition, he had no idea that the person he trusted most in the world was the one who had caused this tragedy. The truth remained hidden, but for how long? In Salem, secrets always have a way of coming out, and when they do, the consequences are always catastrophic. With Sarah's fate hanging in the balance, Brady's guilt threatening to consume him, and Fiona's desperate attempt to cover her tracks on the brink of unraveling, the stage is set for an explosive revelation.